was a good-looking deer.
Oh, it's a great deer. Had all the characteristics of a mature deer that you're looking for, and we shot the deer. I shot the deer, and he went about 40 yards, fell over, walked over to him, and I saw Justin kind of walk up to the deer and turn around and look at me like he was real puzzled. And he's like, man, and we got up to the deer.
This segment of DoD TV is brought to you by Leupold, American to the core.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Drury Outdoors 100% Wild Podcast, powered by DeerCast. You are Matt Drury.
You are Tim Chelsvik.
That's Laden Force.
North American Whitetail in the house.
He's probably nervous being in front of the camera.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah,
that never is appearing on TV or.
That black eye kind of gets you sometimes. You got to watch for it. So.
Yeah,
I got sucked into one of your trail camera reviews from ATA this past year.
Okay.
It was great.
What, him?
Well, I don't want to like inflate his ego, but
he did
a nice job with it. Yeah.
So, Laden, why don't you tell our audience who you are, what you do, and kind of how you got there before we jump into the conversation a little bit.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, first of all. I appreciate you guys inviting me in. Was going to come down and eat lunch with you, and we got the chance to do this instead.
Yeah.
So
also, don't lie.
Don't lie? Okay. All right. I'll try not to do that. So don't lie and don't tell everybody what I do wrong. Those are the two, two things we're
we
told.
can dive into that.
Okay. So Laden Force, born and raised kind of in northeast Missouri, not too far from your dad's farm there in Knox County. I was on the south part of the county, but was very familiar with the area. I currently am the publisher and producer for North American Whitetail, which includes North American Whitetail TV, and participate on the show quite a bit on Outdoor Channel and Sportsman's Channel. Yep. And then I also am the publisher of Gundog, the brand, formerly a magazine, now a brand, still a magazine in some regards, and then Wildfowl. I also have publishing responsibilities there.
Busy guy.
We stay pretty busy.
With Gundog, I'm not sure, like, are they modifying the weapon so that the dogs can hold the firearm?
Yes.
I don't understand how that.
Yeah, it comes in a nice neoprene vest format. No, it's a manual for it's the hunter's training manual, really, for working dogs out in the field, whether it be upland or waterfowl type hunting situations. But yeah, it's another one of those great brands that's been around for a long time, and lucky to be a part of it.
How do you divide your time amongst those
That's what I was
three
gonna
things?
ask.
I mean, because some of it, the crossovers. Similar times of year, right?
It is, yeah. And as I've become more involved in TV, unfortunately, my upland hunting and waterfowl hunting kind of probably suffer a little bit, but still stay pretty invested in the brands and what we're doing. And I have great people, man, that I work with, great teams, like you guys have here at Drury Outdoors, and it can be tough managing my time from time to time. But, hey, like I said, great teams, and they can really help me get through that. And we kind of go day by day and try to maintain a schedule as best as possible. But it can be complex.
We kind of got the Outdoor Sportsman Group parade going on right now. Because last week we had Mitch Petrie on, and he even referenced you. He's like, I don't know how Laden keeps it all straight. Super busy guy.
Mitch is a good dude. And thank you, Mitch. I'll pay you $5 after this. But
he's not watching.
I'm sure he is. Mitch is a good guy and part of the Outdoor Sportsman Group. It's a pretty big portfolio of brands. I'm sure he probably explained that to the audience, so I won't go too deep there. But 15 different flagship brands like Guns and Ammo and Fisherman that were formerly traditional media publication-based deliveries, and then you have Outdoor Channel, Sportsman's Channel, World Fishing Network, MOTV, which you guys are a part of. So pretty neat and unique group of people that we get to work with day in and day out. A lot of talented people that are very creative and looking to advance and evolve what we do as a business, and really supplement and work with partners like Drury Outdoors in a lot of ways too.
I wonder how many people total work at Outdoor Sportsman's Group. I should ask Mitch that. Do you know?
I know that KSE as a whole is over 1,500 people.
But KSE does
much
the
larger
sports teams.
Yeah, you're talking about the Rams and the Avalanche. So it gets much larger. I'm not sure what the employee count is across all of OSG at this point in time, but it's a pretty large group.
Yeah, I was going to say quite a few people.
Yeah. We could use more though.
It was interesting. Like stories I can't share. But we had a chance to talk with Mitch, and we had 2 days of meetings with him and Sean Luxton. It was interesting to see kind of behind the curtain stuff that I wasn't aware of in that hiring process.
There's a lot to it, and I as a team at OSG, we're working to advance what we're doing every day. I kind of touched on that, and Mitch and Sean that you spent some time with there from MOTV, those guys are right in the heat of it. As are a lot of our other sub brands and brands as a whole. So interesting times, fun times, really.
It's interesting to be part of a brand like North American Whitetail that has such a legacy. I mean, I remember my dad getting those magazines when I was a kid, and I think there was even like some kind of deal where you got like a tin or something with. I remember it had like deer painted on or something, but it was like. We've just stayed in our family.
Done different things over the years, as many of the magazine brands did. Different types of trinkets or emblems, promotions. Like a lot of businesses do to kind of bring you into the ecosystem. But it's a legacy brand. And if you've grown up in whitetail country and you're a whitetail deer hunter, you've probably heard of North American Whitetail.
Definitely, yeah.
And it was kind of an inspiration book for us, in a lot of ways. You look forward to seeing
Still is.
Yes.
Someday.
Someday. I'm
Or
raising my hand there.
inspirational.
I don't even want to be on the front. I just would like to see a deer that makes it in the middle.
I'm with you there. We're all in that boat, but yeah, it's pretty neat.
You guys want to welcome in our newest rack pack? And we should also say Laden's part of the rack pack.
Yeah.
He's legit.
It's probably the first guest we've had that's a part of the rack pack.
That wasn't like, now what is this again?
Why are you a part of the rack pack?
It just seemed like the thing to do.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're a cool kid.
Yeah, everybody's jumping on.
Yep, the cool guys.
Peer
All
pressure.
Right. So, as everybody knows, Tim always throws a fake name in here to try to trip me up. He's not very nice, but I'll read him out. All right, Derek Beck, Ollie to Booger.
Really, you will? It's disgusting. Your own or someone else's?
Matt Rose, Aaron Linhart, Dylan Hinkle. I believe the fake name is Ollie to Booger. Am I saying that right?
You'll eat a booger, huh?
Pretty smooth. It rolled right off the tongue there.
You son of a gun. Right after we said last week with Mitch's episode, we talked about the Simpsons.
Yeah.
Colin Moe's bar.
Yeah.
Literally went to the Simpsons Wikipedia page, and there's a whole list of
names.
pseudonyms that Bart would call up Moe's Tavern.
Was this one?
Yes, it was.
Perfect.
I'll eat a booger.
Nice work.
See, you have to listen or watch all the episodes to get this kind of knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got to dig deep.
That's right.
We got a thread going. And then over on DeerCast, Justin Schoon said regarding the Growing Deer TV show that we did, he said, "Thank you, Mr. Matt and Mr. Tim, on another great podcast. They used to have a movie on Netflix. Never seen Netflix spelled that way, but I know what you're talking about. Netflix about the coywolf. The name of it is also Coywolf.
I'll be damned.
They had a lot of great info on it, and I guess it's becoming pretty common up by Chicago. Thank y'all at DOD and DeerCast for everything."
Justin Schoon seems like he's either a young man or from the South to be so polite to say that we're Mr. Matt and Mr. Tim.
They feel old.
You always, in the South, like all the Mossy Oak guys going down there and hanging out with them, all their kids, they're always Mr. Terry or, Adam Wainwright, his girls. Like anytime we're around anybody from basically Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, it's always very polite.
I like that.
Yeah,
It's a lot of misses.
Yep. Pretty cool. Old school.
Yeah, thanks, Justin. And we still are needing more 5-star reviews. Like,
Have you done that, Laden?
I don't think I have.
God dang it.
I know. I'm sorry. I hear it every week.
That should be a requirement to be in the rack.
It shouldn't.
We don't have a couple handful of people.
Go over, rate us, and then you can get in.
But
the coywolf, that's such an interesting...
Is it like the koi fish?
No.
Or is it like the coy dog? Isn't there a book?
Yeah.
called The Coy?
Well, that's what got us on that tear. We were talking about one of our wildlife
Coyotes
words a few
and
weeks
wolves
ago. Birds and bees and
Yeah.
how they get together and dogs marrying cats. That whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, coywolf. So I did look up on Amazon Prime because we do a lot of research for each show. There is there's a movie or like a documentary called Meet the Coywolf. I think that's what he's talking about.
Is he like a werewolf?
It's not. It's a documentary. So
Put that one on
And
the
your
watch
point-
it's
list.
not like
point
Teen Wolf
is-
with Michael J. Fox.
You're telling me that's not real?
Well, last
You
I
gotta
checked.
watch
Now,
your
Back
words.
Back to the Future is real.
Yeah.
That's a documentary. Jurassic Park, also a documentary.
Flux capacitor. It's a real deal.
1.21 gigawatts.
That's right. Great
That
Scots.
movie holds up. It really does. So you had a pretty good deer season, right?
Yeah, it was a good deer season, man. Kind of rough here at home in Missouri. I
feel ya.
Yeah, I watched your Broken Brow episode here a couple weeks ago, and it was just, and I wasn't the only one. Our whole team was pretty rough for him, but started out strong. I got to take a couple of deer in unique places, and came back home, and I've got 3 little boys at home. So I've got a
young family.
Yeah, 9, 8, and 4. The 8 just turned 8, and 9-year-old in March will be 10. So the 2 oldest, of course, can hunt here in Missouri with our regulations that we have. And during November, during the youth season, my middle son Wilder took his first deer.
Nice, cool.
Yeah, took a 6-pointer, and then Stone, my oldest, took his biggest yet during the rifle season.
That's cool.
So that made my year, you know, and that I sound like a real deer hunter there, don't I? You know?
I mean,
made my year.
It's so true though.
But it is. Yeah, you guys are fathers and you have young children, and you can understand that. And you know, it's pretty cliche for guys to say, "Man, you've experienced it," when you get to watch that, you know, from the side of your children, and a lot of truth to that. So we had a good November, really enjoyed it, and then rolled into the late season, and still pretty much a struggle right down to the last couple of days of December, and took a deer here at home in December that I'd been kind of chasing after the last couple of years. So
Cold weather really helped there.
it really helped, yeah.
What I like about one of the things, and I don't know if this is a function of your job or your personality or maybe both, but you employ a lot of different methods in how you hunt. Like I've seen you use an e-bike, which I think is cool. I don't know if you've done much saddle hunting.
I haven't, which surprises me because that's kind of right up my alley.
Seems like it'd be, you're kind of open for anything.
Yep. So I just really haven't hopped on that. I've used a lot of ultralight, hang and hunt or sticks and hang-ons, and that's kind of been the way I've focused over the years. But I think I'm gonna, give the saddle a try this year and try
That's
it.
what she said.
Bingo.
We knew it was coming.
I was dying. I missed my opening a second before that. But
Soundboard is active.
Yes.
I'll have to remember that.
Shots fired.
Yeah, and I haven't tried it yet, but man, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Saddle hunting plus e-bike.
There you go.
that's
That's
like
an article.
Well, if you could go do that on public land, then you got the trifecta.
Then you get the trifecta,
of
yeah.
like
You check all the
modern,
boxes.
yeah,
And you find a shed on
flat
the way
brim,
to the
flat brim hat. Add that to it.
ironic mustache.
And working out with taking lots of protein. Tim, you're like,
Oh, no, this
you're
is-
like halfway there.
This is kind of
You may
hitting
be
close
all
to
the way-
home.
You are actually all the way there.
You just need me a bike.
I didn't think that of the e-bike. That's right.
Yes.
So you're like 4 out of
I'll
5.
just take a regular mountain bike.
Yeah.
Don't forget the selfie on the back end of it. You gotta have the selfie too.
Hey, I got the Rogue. I can let you borrow the
Yeah,
Rogue.
Yeah.
Ridge. So,
Sweet. Riding wheelies. Start calling me Papa Wheelie.
Yeah.
That's right. Papa Dot.
I don't know what that is.
It's a movie. It's a good one.
Okay.
Yeah, Papa Dot. Okay.
Sorry.
Hold on.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Okay.
So do you know what your, do you have plans already for next season? Do you have to think that far out in advance?
Yeah, I have to, man. Just because of the complexity of the brands I work with, I'm trying to be a little more mature in my efforts as I get older. I'm trying. I said trying. Yeah.
Overrated.
Yeah, overrated.
Let me know how that goes.
Yeah, not so well so far, but trying to plan out a little bit better, and it just makes things easier because we get pretty busy in the fall in all regards. But so starting to look at that right now, actually, as we speak, looking at some neat areas. Like you said, I kind of like the adventured kind of path if I'm leaving the home state.
So
Sure.
when you go on those hunts, there's a lot of planning that goes into it. How much does success rate factor in? Like, cause you're creating stories and you're, it's more than just the kill in a lot of ways.
For sure.
It is a lot about the experience, but ultimately it'd be nice to kill something everywhere you went. When you start spending that kind of dollars, and when you work for the kind of company you work for, there's, they gotta sign off on it. I mean, there's a certain expenditures, there's limits.
There is. Yeah.
So what is the pressure to kill on a trip?
Well, it's there. There's no doubt about it. And that's something, I've been in it about 3 years now. And so it definitely factors into not only your planning process, but your mental state during the season as well in some regards. Because like you guys, we have sponsor obligations and all that fun stuff that kind of come along with our business modal. But it factors.
This is a business?
It is in some regards.
Well. The truth finally comes out.
Hold it.
But you don't say that.
He's doing this for money.
Oh, in some regards, of course. But
Not much.
Yeah. But, you have to be successful in some regards. But I don't really, it's been kind of nice. We're evolving as a brand in some of the things that we do. And, we pay attention. We're trying to satisfy an audience day in and day out. And our audience likes to see that, you struggle as well. And it's reality. I mean, how many times?
That's why we have an audience. Literally.
But we got one.
Yeah, so it's been an evolution kind of in how we deliver, and we ran our first Misses episode a couple years ago, and it went over really well, and A little piece of humble pie there for everybody.
It's tough.
My buddies all of a sudden came out of the woodwork when we ran that one.
Really?
They hadn't seen TV until that one. Then they started watching the Outdoor Channel.
Nobody watches TV anymore. It's like, I signed up for a subscription here for the year.
Fail.
Ding, ding, ding. Here comes the text. But no, it's my personal interest. At times you have to manage them, but it's part of it. And you want to be successful, and we always try to put ourselves in places where you have the opportunity to be. But telling the story, like you said, Matt, is a big part of it. And so you're not always going to succeed, and that's just hunting.
How many trips will you take in a fall?
Probably the last couple of years, 5 to 6.
That's quite a
That's
bit,
a lot.
especially
it's
with
quite
a
a
young
bit.
family.
It is. Yeah, my
How's your wife handle that?
She is a saint. Yeah, and I've had some conversations like you've had with yours, I'm sure, at times. And
Pleasant.
Yeah, real pleasant.
That's not where he was going, I think.
No, Jordan is great, and she supported it, and she understands what it means to me as a person, but then also understands kind of what our business does. And
Sure.
so she's great, and she works full time, which makes her even more of a saint.
That's tough.
It is, man, just to manage that dynamic at home.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, she's been great about it, and she is still allowing for me to do it. I'll say that out loud, and I'm not afraid to. But yeah, it works well for us as a family so far.
Now you have an implied oral agreement that she has to continue being okay with it because you said it on the show.
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
she gonna watch this?
I hope so. She
Does
wished me luck this morning.
Does
so.
she watch anything you do? Like on TV
Oh yeah,
or-
yeah.
Man,
Really?
Yeah, she does.
never heard of
What
that.
have we done wrong? Our wives have no cares
Maybe
about
not
what
out
we
of
do.
contention.
Terry's,
but-
ours,
watches
most of
this.
the team members,
Yeah.
Scott's, like everybody I know, like their
don't
significant other could give two cops
Yeah,
less than.
I don't think that she has it planned out with her week. It's usually, hey, Stone, my oldest, saying, "Hey, Mom, look at what Dad did and how he messed up," something like that. And then she sits down for 5 or 10 minutes, kind of like a train wreck. Then you've got to
So
look
watch
at
that.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I could sympathize with that part.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you did this? Let's see it.
Yeah.
Oh,
What a
everybody's
folding
laughing
of the
at me.
hands.
One time I had the kid, it was in the summertime and we were heading up to like the Ozarks from here. And so Miranda brought the kids by and we were going to, jump in one vehicle.
Yep.
And I had to do some critical mass interviews and they were actually laughing out loud because my delivery and how I talk on camera, for the TV side especially, it's much more animated and they just could not stop laughing.
I think Cam got startled.
Yeah. You're right.
He's like, what?
Why is he
hollered
yelling
at right now?
Why is he yelling?
He's smiling, but he's yelling. What's happening?
I often get in trouble for talking with my hands. That's the one I'll get.
kinda
quite a bit.
supposed to, aren't you?
Yeah, that's kind of the animated side of it. It just kind of helps you get comfortable and get through it.
You just go like this and deliver.
What do I do with
I thought I had that sound bite. What do I do with my hands? But I guess I don't.
We could just say it.
Go ahead.
What am I supposed to do with my hands?
There
Is
you
that
go.
the quote?
the car ran well?
Doesn't quite live up to the soundboard version.
I'm perfect at movie quotes.
You're not a doucher.
Thank you. I was rewatching Step Brothers last night.
Classic.
I had to cut it. I had something going on, but I got to the part where they're singing "Sweet Child of Mine" in the car. I almost got in an accident.
Did we just become best friends? Yeah.
Perfect. I wanted to bring up the mushy buck that you shot because we talked about it on the show. Sometime, I don't know, it was maybe last fall we talked about it.
On this show?
On this show. Maybe you were absent
We
that
do
day.
one a week.
It's a lot to
knows?
keep up with.
Maybe because I do recall I had shot one in like 15 years ago, and I remember talking about that. It might have been the same
I think
episode.
that was the
The
context.
gargoyle buck or whatever. We went up, and it was
Yeah.
like you put your fingers on. I was like, ugh, what's wrong with this thing?
Yeah. So refresh my memory a little bit about like it was like a pygmy.
Yeah,
deer.
yeah. So we were in Oklahoma hunting together down at the Canadian River Hilton there with Justin Akins and his family.
With Tim?
Yeah, him and I both together.
Poor guy.
Little Mossy Oak event. It was fun.
Fun for me at
Yeah.
least. I don't know.
Yeah, shot a
You're
beautiful.
welcome, Tim.
He shot a beautiful deer.
I know. I
Yeah,
see it.
yeah.
Every day.
Look at what I could have shot.
Is that the reason for the distasteful face every time you walk in?
Not the smell, but
Goes with the territory.
That's part of it. But we were down there in Oklahoma, and I was hunting with Justin himself. Opening morning, went out, and he kind of laid out the parameters for what we were looking for there in Oklahoma. And it's always a transition when you go somewhere else because there might be differences in body size or what is a good representation of that local herd. And he had said, if 8-pointer comes in, we're looking for a good, mature 4.5, 5.5-year-old 8-pointer that is not going to be much more, and that's on the list, And so we were there 30 minutes, bucks cruising all over the place looking for does, hunting those oak brush flats, and all of a sudden this buck comes in, just busting after does and chasing them around all over in front of us. And Justin says, "That's our deer."
It was a good looking deer.
Oh, it's a great deer. Had all the characteristics of a mature deer that you're looking for, and we shot the deer. I shot the deer, and he went about 40 yards, fell over. Walked over to him, and I saw Justin kind of walk up to the deer and turn around and look at me like he was real puzzled. And he's like, "Man," and we got up to the deer, and the deer was much smaller than what you would expect from an overall body size standpoint. So come to find out, I did some research with Dr. James Kroll, our on-staff biologist, and he said, just like human population, every once in a while you'll come across, a sample within the population that doesn't live up to what it's supposed to be. It's a realistic thing. And so I was supposed to follow up with you after that podcast. I think you and I talked about it a little bit, and Doc had sent me some information, and I didn't consume all of it. Kind of get busy sometimes, but he just justified that, you see it, especially with him, a guy that travels all over the countly managing deer herds and consulting. He said, you see it more often than what you think.
Like, what are we talking? Like, how much smaller?
It fit in the palm of his hand.
Yeah.
The scope made him look
tiny.
big.
Yeah.
I would
He
say
was actually 10 yards away.
3 feet in front of the blind.
if I had to estimate, probably, we didn't put him on the scale, but probably 15-20% smaller than what you're looking at.
What kind of body weights in Oklahoma, that herd? I mean, were you talking 175?
Yeah.
My buck was, I felt my buck was probably close to that 200. I mean, it was a big bodied old deer.
Yeah.
And then to see, like, it was so weird because, like, just looking at the deer, it looked great. It looked like a mature buck, but, like, everything was just relatively smaller.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
I get that a lot.
Yeah. So it was a good lesson,
And what?
being aware of the fact that it exists in the population,
Yes.
Because it's really easy for us to, as deer, and you hear this quite often, guys, it wasn't the deer I thought I was shooting. But it was definitely the deer that we thought we were shooting, and you just wouldn't have expected that. So
Did Dr. Kroll say anything about, like the tissue factor of it?
No, he didn't. He said that was a little odd to him because basically we got inside the hide and everything, that white fat that you usually see was a yellowish tint.
Yep, that's
and
how
it
this deer was.
just crazy, and didn't really know what to expect out of that.
Was it any of it kind of pussy or?
Not really to speak of. It had a couple battle wounds like any
Yeah.
deer does in November, and there was some pus around those areas. But he was very aggressive, acted like a mature deer, in a lot of regards. But just like this real awkward yellow tint to his underlayer there between the fat and the skin, so the hide. So it was very interesting.
Yeah, such a weird deal. But I mean, you think about like just the sheer number of deer that are out there, and the medical conditions. Like someone posted on DeerCast, and this is not medical necessarily, but he found a deadhead that had an arrow shaft through its one eye socket, and the broadhead was lodged in the back of the other eye socket, and who knows how long that deer lived. But like, deer get hurt. Deer have medical, genetic deformities and stuff.
Taking that quality quartering tooth.
It was a good deer. This guy was
quartering
just
away, I guess, based on how you explained it. If it came through the eye and out.
Yeah, when I looked at the picture, it looked like the deer was looking back at the guy, and it just kind of. But it didn't. It looked like the broadhead did not puncture the brain cavity,
Which is crazy.
Which probably meant the deer lived for a significant amount of time after.
Brutal ending.
Ridiculous. But
Think about it when you get a locust thorn stuck in your hand.
I'm dead. Kill me now. I sometimes think about that though when I'm field dressing a deer, like, reaching my hand up in there to pull out the lungs. Like what if there's
What is something?
an old broadhead in this deer and you grab it or something? And it's never happened, but
Could.
good.
Heard plenty of stories of guys, especially doing what we do now, that they're finding broadhead lodged in the liver in some cases, which you wouldn't think a deer would survive that. And I've heard that recently. I've heard broke off broadheads and arrows in the upper half of the body cavity and along the spine and all kinds of leg wounds. I mean, you'd just be surprised. They're very tough animals, and what will kill one might not kill another is the other thing. So it's pretty interesting to see how much of a survivalist they are at times.
No doubt.
Yeah, and just the list of injuries.
Well, you think about this time of year, like the snow that we just had come through a couple weeks ago, and the amounts that there were. It's like my trail cameras were just crazy active during that period of them getting up. Once the snow passed through, them getting up and going to the ag fields and trying to find anything that's left, to source for food. And
Yeah. They're still out there while we're cozy at home watching our Netflix.
CKS.
Flick. Okay, so what about turkeys? Like, much of a turkey hunter?
Yeah, man, I love to turkey hunt. Really like to turkey hunt with the bow. That's kind of a passion of mine, and I kind of cut my teeth on that in college when I was going to school. I'd take spring break and go west into Nebraska. A lot of times lined up with their early archery season or Kansas, and have a lot of fun with it. I'm kind of a bow hunter at heart, and really enjoy it. But again, my sons have got into turkey hunting the last couple of years, and so we've got a few of those on the ground.
Time.
Oh man, it's been great. Yeah, so
That's
at home, it's spent with them.
Do you get made fun of as much as I do about killing turkeys with a bow?
Oh yeah, all the time.
It seems incessant.
I just made fun of Scott about it. Literally about a half hour ago in my office. He's like, I'm looking at killing one of the crossbows here. Like, really?
Yeah.
Let's do it with a shotgun.
It's more fun to shoot them like that.
That's right. In the face with a shotgun.
Of course,
A lot more efficient. That's usually the comment that comes out. Shoot him in the face with a shotgun. Guys really enjoy that. But yeah, it's fun with poking with a stick.
Like, where do you aim on a bird? Do you wait for a particular posture? Or
Broadside, just below the wing bone joint, and try to put it right through there. That tends to get it done. But like deer, they sometimes can be mysterious animals.
Yeah. The bird I killed this past year, I think my son got to my bow while it was like sitting, because I have a deck off the back of my house, and I'll shoot. He did. I got double bowed, and because I shot the bird, it was like at 5 steps, and the arrow hit really high, and it still died and everything. But I was like, it was not where I was aiming. But I looked at my sight wheel, and it was turned up to 35 yards.
Whoops.
Blame it on the 4-year-old.
He does like to change dials.
Yeah.
Sophie did that to my scope.
Perfect.
On my 17, my squirrel gun. I kept missing these groundhogs, and
it can't be
I was
me.
like, "What's wrong here?" And I saw she had the turret cranked all the way up to like 300 yards or something.
Click is entertaining.
Yeah. So
back to North American Whitetail and the kind of the state of the magazine world. You talked about before the podcast digital and what you guys are doing on that aspect. And if you had a subscription to, the actual print version, you already have a subscription to the digital version. So is that something that you guys are putting a focus on this year?
No, so the digital form of the magazine itself, we've kind of had that around for a while, and we've just not probably done a good enough job of communicating to folks that it exists. But our consumption rate there is about 5% on average across the portfolios versus the actual print edition as far as what people are requesting. Like I said, it's part of the subscription, but where we've really started to focus our efforts is building up our web presence and supporting it socially as well, just to make sure that people are aware of what we're doing digitally. So that's probably the first time we've done that. The magazine's healthy. We've managed to maintain our subscribership, and I think I don't have to tell anybody this. People spend the majority of their time on their iPhones now, or their iPads, or whatever device they have.
Some people have Android devices. I've heard
those folks.
Terry.
So you get that, and we want to make sure that our content's where people are going to consume it. So we've had to evolve what we have done formerly as a brand, and really kind of trying to bring ourselves into modern day or present times, and it's gone really well for us. We focused on that over the last year, to your point, and our digital growth from a web presence aspect and a social aspect has grown a lot exponentially.
So, you guys, from the outside looking in, it seems like you're actively trying to get younger within the organization, maybe by default, some people retiring and, just kind of, going on the next step of their life retirement, having fun doing something else.
Yep.
But with that, I think it gives the opportunity to modernize the actual subscription, the magazine, what the content is, what the look is, the type of topics you guys are hitting. There was some stuff that maybe, and I'm not saying about North American Whitetail specifically, but that might have been taboo to cover, 10 years ago, that this is the way everybody's doing it now, or this is a popular way to hunt, and we're not focusing on it.
Right.
So is that something that internally is actively talked about, or?
Yeah, it is. And, for us, our transition, Gordon Whittington was our editor-in-chief for 36 and a half years. So a lot of people, when they thought about North American Whitetail, they thought about Gordon Whittington because in a lot of regards, there were a lot of great people involved in the growth of this brand over 36 and a half years prior to Gordon's departure. But he was the guy that was here the whole time, and ran that ship. And so, He actually retired in January of last year. And we brought his understudy up into the editor-in-chief position, which is a relatively young guy.
And who is that?
Haynes Shelton.
Okay.
He's our editor-in-chief. He worked there under Gordon as the associate editor for about 5 years.
Okay.
So he was trained well.
Yeah.
Gordon's a great mentor, and we've maintained Gordon as an emeritus or in the emeritus capacity. And so it's been really nice because naturally we're having to make some transition with Gordon moving on, and even Stan and Greg Miller kind of stepping back from TV a little bit and allowing for us to kind of do a little bit more from the next generation aspect. And that really is how we're looking at it from a branded aspect and go-to-market approach. Is it's just the next generation of North American Whitetail, and we've got a new young crew that's very excited and feels very honored to be in that position and respect the opportunity. And I think it's going to be unique because people have been, and we've already seen this, and you guys might see a little bit of it as well, as active as the two of you are in your delivery, where people looked at a Gordon or a Greg or a Doc as an authority because of their level of experience and their longevity. And, you have a new cast of guys, the oldest one's 37 years old, and all of a sudden they go, well, what am I going to learn from? I've actually heard that in a deer camp. What am I going to learn? What are you going to teach me about deer hunting that I don't already know?
Okay.
Yeah, man.
No, I've never had this experience.
Young pup.
Yeah, so it's kind of neat, and as I've watched you guys grow, the podcast and watch what you're doing with deer season, and I see a lot of similarities because really for us now it's about us sharing our experience of learning and being educated, and then also kind of validating ourselves and in a way kind of earning our stripes with the older demographic and our delivery, our audience, and so. It's pretty neat, but we need to evolve a little bit. And, Gordon has been right there by our side the whole time and has said, it's what the brand needs, which is nice
To
as well.
survive, you got to.
Yeah, you have to.
You can't just put everything on the back of the oldest people on board.
Yeah.
They're not going to do it forever.
That's right.
Something else I know that's popular with the kids are word jumbles.
Yeah.
So you may consider having a monthly word jumble.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. It would impress you how popular that the Hall of Fame section is still with the kids. Yeah. So we've got that section in the back that our audience sends in photos, and we share the photos of their deer, and it'll amaze you how many we still get.
I'm not surprised about that. Even with DeerCast, the fan share side, I mean, we get a lot of submissions, and it's cool. I enjoy that as much as anything. When we publish, when Tim publishes that stuff into the main feed, it's refreshing. It's a nice, it's a nice kind of break from seeing, the stuff that we do or how we do it, and the sponsors and how we promote it. It's like, it's interesting to see what people are wearing, what they're using, what they're shooting with, how they killed it. Their little, the stories that go along with it. There's a lot of cool stories out there to be had.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. And you touched on another real unique point, and that's one that we have the advantage of seeing with how we deliver our publication. Because within the pages of the magazine, it's very unbiased. We're not partial to anybody there. There's no sponsorship relationships. There are advertising partners, of course, but we don't control what the next state record in Missouri the hunter was wearing.
Sure.
It's been real interesting for us to see kind of the transition in products and gear and everything that comes across.
And that was kind of something that early on we talked about, because obviously with the Jury Outdoor side, DeerCast, as much as it is intertwined, we tried to make it its own entity for that reason, because it's like, all right, we could try to stick to just mossy oak things or just, Reconyx things, but man, there's just then we're shutting out so many people. I want real tree people, Mossy Oak, Sitka, whoever. I want them to be able to put in their hero photos and share their stories. And I think, Tim and the team here have done a good job of, we've never once had any one partner say any negative thing about that. I think they understand it too. It's like, no, this is bigger than just the partnerships. That the app is, we're trying to be a much larger entity with it.
Yeah, the philosophy, and I think you guys are kind of in the same vein here. Like the commitment is to deer hunting and the deer hunter. Like let's make them better. Let's make the community better. Let's make the conservation aspect, and then brands just like they're just part of the puzzle pieces within that.
Yeah, I like the community aspect of it, and that's one thing we focus on or try to focus on a lot. And I see examples of that all the time, but we're very competitive in nature as a segment and as a community, and so it's real easy for us to kind of draw lines and say, well, I shoot this bow or wear that camo or whatever it might be. But in the end, man, it's about that next generation. It's about the sport. It's about our pastime and culture and tradition and all these great things 100%. That we've got to maintain. So.
How much is a subscription these days?
So it varies.
$500.
Yeah, for you, $500. Now, so we run promos. At
Sure.
times it'll get down to for an entry level promo as less as $7.99.
For 12 issues?
Yeah, which is
Girl.
yeah. So it's about bringing you in and introducing you to the product. As you know, it's a sales tactic, and and it grows. For renewals all the way up to $29.99 or a little more. But and it depends on the book too. Gundog is twice that.
Yeah.
But a whole different model.
Specialty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So kind of forming that niche type delivery where this is a little more general whitetail hunting. So
Laden, you're plugged into digital media and what's happening there. Maybe you can explain the phenomenon of people laying down next to their deer and taking pictures.
I don't get
Good
it.
luck.
Yeah.
Or them putting ducks in their mouths. And
Well, I mean,
stuff.
duckbills taste good.
No, I don't get any of it, honestly.
I just saw another one of those photos the other day.
Some people might. We've gotten crap back in the day of how we do hero photos, not the long arm aspect that everybody likes to say we
supposed to do
invented,
that?
but we did not.
I just perfected
No,
it.
like I know some people would have a problem if you laid a gun, on the body of the deer, or maybe your pack, or like they're. It's interesting how people can, what it means to them and how you should respect the animal. I mean, obviously, we feel like you should respect the animal,
course,
but
of
what level that means to each individual. Yeah. But this new phenomenon, it's like now I'm that person complaining about these young kids.
I would just like to understand it. Like, is it the relativity of size? Is
I
that
think
what
some of that is, yeah. What you will never understand is when they take their shirt off. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think I've seen any of those.
Well, follow some of the meme pages because they'll hammer those people.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know what to think about it, but to each their own. And I guess if you do have a problem with it, lead by example and just kind of embrace people for who they are and what they are. And if you have an opportunity to maybe change mind a little bit, respectfully.
I think when it's a younger person, I get it a little more because it's immaturity. Mm-hmm. When it's an older person, I think that dude's a Hoosier. That's how I feel about it personally. Like, this guy is not my kind of guy.
The morning I killed the safe buck, Jeremy Kerber came out to help me do some pictures and stuff. And when he walked up on me, I was like laying on my back, just like soaking in. It was a beautiful morning. The deer was right next to me, and I just like laid down to take it all in for a moment. And he snapped a picture. I'm like, doggone it, don't use that as like a freaking
delete this
side by side picture.
Mm-hmm.
Different scenario.
I get that. If you want to, like, a deer is humongous body wise, and you want to show the sheer size of it. I guess
you
I can
should
see
have done
all
that with your mushy buck.
We should have, yeah. That used
like
to be
a
done on a
giant.
gimbal.
Yeah,
the guys that hang it up
standing
or
next to it.
tie their antlers up, and you'd see pictures. We've got a bunch of historical photos, that have
skin
come through
and
the
pole.
magazine. Yeah, the skin and pole. Yeah. So I guess there's just a different way of displaying it now.
Yeah.
Hopefully not long lived.
Right.
We'll see.
And back when I was a kid.
Yeah, do we sound old right now?
Yes, we do.
Shifting
And another
into
thing.
that generation.
How
aren't we?
about compound bows?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do have to wonder, the aging process is interesting in and of itself to me. Just what happens to the way you think and I've seen this before and I just don't have the time of day for it.
The liberty of having perspective in life is everything.
Yeah.
And it's just something you have to earn it by living through it.
And no one can tell you. When you're young.
No, they try.
Yeah, they will try. People tried to tell me, and I was like, you don't know what you're talking about. And I look back and I cringe.
Oh, yeah.
It's just the way
A
of
lot of that in
life.
college.
Yes.
For me, personally.
Yeah, no, I'm
For a lot of us.
right there with you.
Yep.
Should we help our buddy Cole with the question of the day?
We should. All right, the question of the day is proudly brought to you by ScentLock, proven deadly and powered by science, granting you access to the entire spectrum of scent management technologies. Boy, that was a mouthful, Tim.
Sorry.
I liked it. It's detailed.
Nice. Good.
It's very thought out. So that's what I like about
I'm
it.
a deliberator. I deliberate over words, sometimes to my detriment.
I tell you what, I was using that late season ScentLock stuff they sent. I was using it during the snow, basically shoveling driveways.
Yeah, I saw you in that.
And sledding with the kids. And I tell you what, I was getting hot. It is amazing how warm you stay in that thing.
Toasty.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what the Yeah. Divergent. The Divergent.
The Divergent
Yeah.
suit.
It's it is very warm. Like anybody up north, if you need something warm, that's the one.
It was interesting when I saw that picture of you. I wondered, like, how much, just in general, how much of your hunting clothes do you wear in non-hunting scenarios?
That was it. I'm not. That's just not me. I mean, I know a lot of guys. You see, anytime I see Coondog out, he's wearing a jacket or whatever.
Flying
I think
the flag.
Bottomland, a lot of guys wear that. Out socially.
Sure.
So it's weird because what's the difference? A camo pattern's a camo pattern, but like that Bottomland, I wouldn't mind wearing out as much.
It's timeless.
It is.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
I
know a ton of people, obviously it's everyday wear.
It's a divider of, like, some people are like, they'll wear their camo regardless.
The other day I was taking the kids to school and I passed a couple utility workers that were getting out and getting ready to work, and they had they both had moss yoke on, and I thought, this is, I think of my dad's construction company when I was working with him, when I was younger. That is what you wore a lot of the time. The warmest gear.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah. So.
And then the people who wear camo and don't hunt, they just like their country.
Fashion
Walmart
statement.
people.
Yes.
When I walk in and I see like a female wearing, like the buck mark and it's pink and it's real tree or whatever, it's like, I bet you never hunted a day in your life.
just supporting the lifestyle, I guess. Right. And that's what Cole's doing.
Are you guys do you have the same experience as I do, where like last week second snow came in, and the kids were home, they'd canceled school, and I heard my wife holler down to the office, hey, we're gonna go outside and go sledding. I thought, I'll finish up what I'm doing, I'll run up.
Have fun.
Yeah. I'll be here for another 4 hours. But I ran up, and you're talking about your gear getting used and worn in those situations, and the whole family is outside in like my late season hunting gear. And I was like, no. Luckily hunting season's over.
Yeah.
It's not in the closet.
And then they're next to the bonfire, downwind,
melt marks right across the knees.
That's what
boots.
I think of. Like, I'm a freak about just putting it all away. Like, I don't want other scents on it, even though I can wash it and I can crush it and everything, but I don't want it used.
What I find funny is like the way my wife will dress the kids. I'm like, no, they're not going to stay warm doing it this way. It's like, all right, we got to layer this hair, then we got to go with the sweatpants. Then let's do a second sock, and then it's going to be a looser, and she's just shaking her head like, you're ridiculous. It's like, no, this will work. There's no snow getting into those toes. There's no snow getting in between the wrists.
It's a bunch of Randys from the Christmas store. They can't put their arms down.
Yeah, basically.
But they're bundled.
It takes an hour to get them unbundled.
Oh, yeah.
They get hot and sweaty before they go out there.
Yeah. They run at a different level than we do.
Yeah, they run.
Like, just their metabolism is
I should speak
cramped.
for you.
Me run.
I do not. Walk fastly?
Yeah, you do.
Okay. Moving on.
All right. The question of the day.
Oh.
Hey guys, my name is Cole from Central Missouri.
Totally lost my train of thought.
I was wondering, what is the best way to find a rafter of turkeys for spring turkey season?
What's with me?
And when you do find them, if there's no toms with them, should you give up on that rafter and look elsewhere, or is the chances of there being a tom around pretty high and I'm just having trouble finding them? Thanks for the help.
You're welcome.
Interesting,
Cole.
because I was going to say, I've never heard of that term rafter used like that. You should make it a wildlife word of the day. I looked down a little further, and it is the wildlife word of the day. I'm going to have to, can we go to that one first?
What the heck do you mean when you say rafter?
I mean, I think I got it, but
we could jump down and then come back to this.
Let's
Why
do it.
don't we do this? Call an audible.
It helps our audience, Tim. Not me.
Yeah, just for the sake of the audience. I
All
appreciate your caring concern for them. The Wildlife Word is brought to you by Hunter Specialties, exclusive providers of the DoD signature series of turkey calls. Woo-wee. Why are groups of turkeys sometimes referred to as rafters? Is it A, the fact that domestic turkeys roost together in barn rafters? B, an Old English word meaning stitched together? C, the North American wild turkeys originally migrated from Minnesota at the headwaters of the Mississippi River on small, rudimentary boats they constructed of molted feathers and feces,
really long to get to
eventually
that.
floating their way throughout the continental U.S.
I don't know if the payoff was worth it.
Or D, A and B.
Well, kind of just gave it to you. C, obviously.
Here they come on their poop boats.
We let the guests go first here.
Thanks.
I feel like none of these.
Maybe B. B's going to be my go-to.
An
on
old
this
English word meaning stitched together.
Yeah.
It's an old wooden ship.
Yeah. That way.
Yeah, I mean, I would have. None of these are answers. Here's what I thought it meant.
Okay, this will be interesting.
Which is why I went down to this to try to get an answer. But here's what I thought it was going to be. Like rafters, you said in the barn example, up high, I thought, okay, the turkeys are lined up on a limb. And that's they're called rafters together, a bunch of birds on a limb. That's what I would have said.
Yeah, that's kind of in line with A. There is there's conflicting information, but it sounds like both A and B are
stitched together because they're so tight, they're so close on the limb.
Because when they flock up, when they're moving around, they almost look like one organism moving around the woods.
Covied up.
So you put your binoculars up on them on the limb, and you're like, is it one? That's two.
It's a rafter.
It's three.
It's a freaking
rafter of them. You got a whole rafter.
And then
of
your
turkeys.
hunting partner will say, "Oh, what are you talking about?"
Definitely keeping that one for my my hunting trips this spring. I'm gonna make sure I use that.
You might want to research it yourself. Now, if I see this in North American,
There'll be a whole article
Solid rafter of whitetails.
on how turkeys floated down the Mississippi on homemade
North American
boats.
Whitetail.
Yes, doesn't seem to fit the format.
Where does your
Laden.
turkey content go?
A lot of times game and fish, we'll kind of split. But I mean, we have a pretty high density of our audience that hunts turkeys in the spring too. So we've actually run a couple inserts over the years in the book. So just kind of depends. That's one big advantage to having a portfolio of brands that we can kind of sister up with on content.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So now we jump back to the question of the day.
We're all over today.
If you find a rafter of turkeys but no tom in the mix, should you stick with them or move on? It sounds like he's talking about like you just see a whole flock of hens. Should you stay and hunt them, and what should you do there?
I'm going to guess he's saying preseason. This kind of sounded or talking about preseason. And me, he said, how do you find them? I think, first of all, didn't he ask how you find them? And then second of all, what do you do once you do find them and there's not a tom?
To me, and I could be completely wrong, but it sounded like he was talking about in a hunting scenario, if you're hunting and you scouted out a big flock of hens, like, is it worth sticking with them and maybe trying to call it a tom?
Probably depends what time of year.
Yeah.
Probably depends what time of year a little bit. If, a Jake decoy at a certain time will be more advantageous for you, for them to run in and kind of assert their dominance versus if they're heavy on the mating side and going in after, you would think a flock of hens at that point. Yeah, maybe stick with them if they're in front of you. But good luck calling, if you have a flock of hens, good luck calling a tom past those hens. It's almost impossible unless you're Mark or these great callers that, plenty of people that can. I cannot.
Yeah, nor can I. And that's a situation where you almost like just need to get in the way of where they're going.
Right.
And hope they drag a tom past you.
Yeah.
Hope to have a pretty good idea of what toms are in the area. If you're hearing toms around that area, you're not seeing them with the hens, there's at least a potential of that happening, then, you could go on ahead and plan that hunt strategy. But if you're not hearing any toms, maybe time to move on. Try to find a new level of permission on a new piece of property or a new hunting spot.
Man,
Agreed.
Trail cameras, I got a cell cam pick 2-3 days ago, 4 toms on the new farm.
Boy.
Girl.
And of course the lease, the new lease we picked up last year, there was all kinds of turkeys on that thing. I mean, a ton of turkeys. Yeah. So
it's good to hear.
Yeah, you don't really care about it until now. It's like, okay, and I'm gonna have to pattern these turkeys.
Now I care.
Yes.
It's funny how
starts
that
to turn.
How that changes like immediately.
Yep.
I couldn't give a rip about turkeys in December.
No.
But now it's like
Starting to get interested.
It's just around the corner.
And then once turkey season hits and you see a deer, like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, right. You're gonna blow my set. Come on.
Yeah.
Yes.
I always find it odd that during turkey season, unless I'm at Dad's place, which is kind of ridiculous, that I'm on a deer that live there, residents, so to speak. But in general, like you're trampling around the woods and it's like, where the hell are all the deer at? I know there's at least 20 deer in this area that I see all the time, but you never see them in turkey season hardly.
It's crazy to me, just in general, how such a large animal can exist, like even in suburbia, like such a big animal, like almost a 200-pound animal in some cases, and some people just never even see them.
Look right over the top of them. I always find it funny too. It seems like I'll either have the situation you just described, Matt, or I'll have a bachelor group that's back hanging out on the farm. It's like, man, that was the buck that I was after all of December and January, and now he's back. You know, where did he go?
I'm seeing a lot of that on cameras too, especially over like our biologic radishes. You know, they kind of, like I'd say November, December, it's just not as appealing to them. And then January, February, like when these cold temperatures, it's nuts. The type of pictures we get. I mean, the field is loaded with deer and bucks and bachelor groups, and they're sparring, and it's really interesting to see that dynamic. And of course, it's always too late.
Too late. Yep.
I think Scott showed me a picture yesterday of a buck walking around with another deer's shed antler wrapped up in his antlers.
Really?
It's like, I mean, I can see that. They're still sparring this time of year, and they're also losing. So
that was a wildlife word not too long ago, right? Like what happens when they spar and then at this time of year, and then I guess they
the loser could like
loses their
his
antlers.
could pop off just because his hormone levels
I don't know
drop.
what the word was, but I know it's a thing.
It was less of a word and more of like a causality.
I see.
Like what happens when. So, I mean, it makes them worth tuning in every week. You just never know what it's going to be. Is it going to be a word? Is it going to be a phrase?
They're always
Is it going to be a
entertaining.
sentence?
Yeah, I'm learning all the time.
I mean,
Are you?
Yeah. I just learned what a rafter is today.
True. Problem with me is I forget it. Learn it, forget it.
It just makes it.
Learning purge.
Every show is brand new.
It really is. I sit down, it's a new
It's
experience.
like the first show we've done.
I can remember your name. I know that DeerCast is the sponsor.
You got the basics down.
Got the basics.
Yeah, it is like we're doing a show obviously every week now, and we've hit a pretty good cadence on that. It does make it easier because when we started out, it was like we'd go for a couple weeks without doing one, and then coming in cold to do a show, it's harder.
Got to rebuild that energy.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
You guys are you're doing good with it, though. I mean, a lot of people enjoy it, not just me. And I'm not saying it because I'm here, but I've really enjoyed it. And the weekly delivery is nice. And you guys have got a goal this year, right? You're going to try to hit a number.
They are.
Yeah.
300.
We're not on pace right now because we've been doing one a week. We need to sneak at least a couple. We need at least a few months in there where we have 5 episodes instead of 4. So
Yep.
we'll have
We can
to
do it.
We'll get it done.
The issue is the guests. Who the hell wants to just listen?
If people were
to
fine
mine?
with just you and me, we could crank out 300 episodes, no problem.
Just keep sitting here.
But, and I should also say we're at 656 members in the Rack Pack right now. I have a goal. I'd like us to get to 10,000 by the end of the month.
Do we have 10,000 listeners? Slash
Probably.
viewers?
Probably.
No. I know we have stats in these things.
But
Gotta have goals.
Let's do it.
So if you're still listening,
And you haven't told 2,000 people
you're screwing
stealing
us.
from us
That's right.
and the future of deer hunting.
I wanted to say before we leave, you mentioned the broke brow buck. That episode is now on YouTube.
It is.
The guys just put it up yesterday. That episode.
You killed it with a crossbow, right?
Yes, I haven't seen any anything negative, but I think they felt so sorry for me. I might as well have
I'll get
been
in there
a
and
crossbow
drop a
hunter.
comment for you.
Yeah, that's
Great
This
shot.
was a crossbow,
It was a great
right?
shot, though.
well. Thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, that part is pretty easy. I mean, there's nerves and there's things that can happen, but that part definitely is the easier part with a scope and the loophole on it. And
Yeah. The key word is easier. It's still
it's
an arrow.
a challenge.
Yeah, and that's what I think is lost in the whole stupid debate is that nothing is easy about killing a deer.
No.
Just getting, the whole other debate would be, you're hunting out of a box blind, but getting those damn windows open, I'm telling you, I don't care who you are, until you've done it, and you got, there's probably 20 deer on the field, you got to beat a lot of eyeballs and be silent and then get your bow, whether it's vertical or a crossbow or a gun or whatever, out the window. That's where usually it goes wrong, right? And that
Sure,
spot.
yeah.
But I feel like Drury's kind of been the innovator of the use of the box blind. Over the years, watching yourself, your dad, Mark, everybody, hunt out of box blinds a lot.
Yeah.
And you guys really kind of probably were partially responsible for a lot of that growth.
For sure, right or wrong, we'll get the hate mail now.
Yeah.
Mark and Terry, back in the day with Dad's construction company, Dad was having his carpenters build to kind of spec what he wanted out of a scent-proof box blind. I mean, guys have been building box blinds for years and years and years, 40 years, you know, whether it was on the ground or rudimentary version in the air, and it's just kind of evolved. And those guys got really good at making them pretty damn scent-proof, airtight, really. And Mark perfected hunting out of them. I think Terry perfected, you know, and a lot of people obviously, but for us, Terry perfected making it scent-proof, and they changed windows and configurations and how big the windows need to be and where you're placing them.
Angles and everything.
So you don't have these issues when it comes time. And Mark perfected hunting out of them. And then once big game and muddy and, you know, all these, you know, of course, redneck, been around forever, they've perfected even making them better and better from a scent-proof standpoint. And shit, those Hawk office blinds that we used this past year and the Muddy XLs, they are pretty scent-proof. They're not 100%. You still, you know, there's still little work that you probably ought to do if you want to hunt downwind, you know, and that kind of thing. But they're close. I mean, they're really, really close.
Definitely allow you opportunities that you probably wouldn't have taken chances with otherwise.
1,000%.
Yeah.
And now, you know, we've even evolved with making them more mobile, and that's changed the game for us. And it's amazing. The deer, you look driving in, you know, the Midwest, for sure in the Midwest, you drive around and look at the landscape. Box blinds are everywhere. Everywhere.
And they're everywhere.
They are. You see. So I don't know that debate. I'm sure from a viewer at home watching, it's not as fun to watch a box blind food plot hunt as a timber hunt per se. But let me tell you, trying to film and succeed and kill, it's a totally different story to get one in a food plot than versus, you know, the things that can go wrong in a timber set.
Yeah, no doubt.
So,
no doubt.
Wait and see you employ one in your urban hunt setting here before too long.
There's a guy that's got on the little county highway that I traveled to get to one of my hunting spots. He's got a little food plot, and it's probably 50 yards off the highway. And he's got a blind up on a 5-foot platform in there, and it looks killer. Like it looks like a great spot. And I always see his truck parked over, you know, by this little cliff, and I was like, man, you got like this guy's got the setup. But it's so funny because it's just
right on
like
the highway.
It's like a big farm kind of setup, but it's just right there, a little tiny kill plot.
You see that too driving around. It's like you see a pop up ground blind or something right there, and you know, next to the road. It's like I wonder how successful they are, truly are in this spot. One time we were hunting in Illinois, and it was a lease, and I park at the front, you know, and you're walking down, I'm kind of walking down a property line and then going into a spot, and so we walk in the morning, we got in super early, and morning hunt ends, nothing happens. We're walking out, and I'm like, is there orange? It's gun season. I'm like, is there orange in this? I mean, it fits. It looks like an outhouse almost. Room for one, you know, small, tiny thing with a window. And
a urinal. I
felt like I was seeing hunter's orange or something moving in there, and sure shit, it was on the line, and the only window was on our side of the property. And they were on their side, but the way they were looking was on our side, and I'm like,
awkward.
I walked right past him. It was a lady. I just waved. I'm like, all right, this spot's nuked.
That sucks.
Yeah. You know, and then you worry, am I going to get shot? You know, which of course you got orange on and all that stuff, but it felt dangerous. They were definitely had their eyes more trained on our side than their side.
Yeah, not good.
The blind was right on the line. Good. But just friendly wave on the way out.
I always feel like I found an Easter egg when I see someone's blind in the woods. Like, I found you.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Or even, it was surprising to me, like hunter orange during the gun seasons. You're driving around and you're like, all right, the truck's here. I see their truck. Where are they? Where are they? And if you find them, it's like, this should stick out like a sore thumb, but some people
not always
don't, whether they have their orange on or don't have their
It's always
orange
a question mark.
Yeah.
But that's always interesting. Talking about finding Easter eggs, like, I got them. There they are.
I had a real good one about 5 years ago. We have a 60-acre property there on our family farm, and had gone in, been hunting it all fall, had a particular deer I was hunting, and I had a ladder stand at that point in time, kind of on the interior of the property, and had a big clover plot between us and the property edge, and it's big, great big bottom up along the Salt River up there, and the neighbors, they leased that property to an outfitter out of Iowa, And so every year, of course, opening morning of rifle season, there's a ground blind in the middle of the bean field. And this particular year, it was a little bit closer to our property line than it was. And so went in for an afternoon hunt, got up in the tree. All of a sudden, I see that ground blind just start shaking, just rattling, like the Ameristep blinds that you have seen. You can imagine just kind of vibrating. I was like, what in the world is going on? All of a sudden, I see this orange vest go boom up on top of the blind, just the arm sticking out the window, orange vest. And I thought, it's kind of interesting. I watched for a little bit longer, and wasn't long, the guy hops out of the blind, and he stands up and he just starts waving at me.
He's scared?
No, he was mad at me because I was hunting in my stand on our property. He just showed up, and I thought, what in the world?
You're encroaching.
Yeah, I was encroaching on. Clearly, he wasn't he didn't know. I'm sure he'd paid for a hunt and came in and just was expecting to have this great opportunity. Saw a great big bottom, and next thing you know, right there, and so old fence was down, so I'm sure that added to it as well. He probably thought he was hunting where he needed to be, and.
Did you just wave at him?
Oh, yeah, just wave back. Set it out. I mean, it's too late at that point.
Good luck.
Yeah.
And now the hunt is over. That's the thing. It's like once that happens, like, okay, who's moving? Is anybody leaving? Is anybody giving up on the hunt? Or is it like, you know what? Screw it. I'm staying here. I'm on my piece.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
But the whole time you're then steaming because you're thinking, this guy's...
It's over with.
Yeah,
Everyone loses.
Yeah.
It's one of those deals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of everyone losing, we should probably shut this thing down. Because next week is episode number 250.
Oh, awesome.
Look at us.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, Laden, we appreciate it. It's been a lot of hard work and sitting here with Tim for that many hours.
I know.
Test
he gets
your
combat pay.
He should. Time and a half, for sure.
So if people want to follow you, do you have anything big kind of coming up that we need to be paying attention to?
North American Whitetail, it's our 40th anniversary this year.
Congratulations.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah. There's been a lot of great people that have put a lot of work into it. And, we've worked with fine folks like Drury's over the years, Steve Vaughn, and, go down the list of Dr. Kroll and Dick Idle that were all involved from its inception. Even David Morris, guys that were part of North American Whitetail in the first decade. And so it's pretty neat to see that come to fruition and see that it's had the longevity that it has and still to have the audience that we do.
Sure.
And hope to carry it into the next 10 years and 20 years and 40 years.
Heck
so
yeah.
go check it out. The magazine, you can check out our website, NorthAmericanWhitetail.com, our Instagram feed, social feed. We even have a YouTube page now, which is new to us. So yeah, we're moving along. But please do check us out. Please do.
We'll throw some links into the show notes so people can get there.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, stay tuned next week for episode number 250.
All right.
250?
250.
All right. Till next time.
See ya.
Peace out. Temperatures are going to be dropping.
Perfect conditions for the skinny field.
Got to focus on those afternoon hunts.
Northwest Tree Stand, 5 p.m.
It's the easiest decision you'll make this season. Get ahead of your game with DeerCast.
2, 3. Got it. Holding up magazines that don't have us on the cover.
Deer will never kill.
Well, I don't know about that.
We're adding new videos every week, so make sure to click that subscribe button and check out all of our amazing content. This episode of DoD TV was brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's.